Hey guys, let's talk about last night's episode of Heart of Dixie, and it was a sweet episode. It was all about Hanukkah in Bluebell, and Zoe was pretty much trying to reconcile with her family, the Wilkes. And she's having a tough go of it because Vivian has been holding on to some resentment, and she won't let it go. But ultimately, we find out it's because Vivian has just split up with her husband, and she's taking out all of her anger on Zoe. But by the end of the episode, the Wilkes family is celebrating with Zoe and all of her friends and family at Casa de Levon. So it was a nice little ending to the episode, but in the middle and at the beginning, there was a lot going on. So we pretty much had Wade, who was for some reason trying not to go to the dentist. And as a result, he bumped into Tansy. And so him and Tansy spent a lot of the episode together, and she was pretty much telling him that he needs to move on and he needs to get his life together because he's kind of like stumbling all over the place and he's just not really doing anything with his life. And so she was sort of like there to give him some guidance, and he was actually there to give her some guidance as well, because as she explained, she's trying to get her own beauty salon chair in one of the salons, and she needs to make some money. So she's been pretty much going around and giving people their notices, like their summons to appear in court, and it's kind of dangerous and it's kind of scary. And Wade is like, you cannot do this job anymore, and he pretty much offers her a job at the Rammer Jammer. So what does that mean? Tansy is coming back to town. And so we have an interesting storyline that'll start to obviously happen again with George, because George is now with Lilly, and they pretty much spent this entire episode at this, I believe it was a harvest festival, and they kept bumping into all of George's exes. And the one thing that Lilly was aware of was that even though he was bumping into all these exes, he wasn't actually paying them any attention. And he wasn't looking back to see, oh my goodness, is there somebody better out there than Lilly for me? And she really appreciated that, and she told that to Levon. But ultimately, when George went to the Rammer Jammer to pick up his dinner, he bumped into Tansy. And Tansy is the one and last ex that he was with. So obviously, this is going to be the speed bump in the Lindley-George relationship. And I did find Lindley a lot less annoying in this episode, but, you know, I feel like the damage is already done for her character, and I'm sure that a lot of other people feel the same way that I do, that they're all going to be, you know, with their pom-poms cheering on Tansy breaking the two of them up. I don't want to see somebody break up a relationship, but they kind of put Lindley on the course to failure when they had her be so annoying at the beginning, and really didn't really I don't think she gained any fan support, and that sucks when you're, you know, a couple on a show. So we'll see what happens with that. We didn't have any of Levon and his love life this episode, but he was sort of the support system for Zoe and her family in this episode. But we did have a lot of Brick and Shelby. And of course, in last week's episode was the big reveal that she was pregnant and that she was going to take over Fancy's. And it turns out she's turning it into some like burlesque type of place. I don't know. But the bottom line is we wanted to know who the baby daddy was. And it turns out it's not Brick. And it actually turns out that she got artificially inseminated. So the baby is hers and some strange man out there in the world. And Brick was a bit disappointed because he was getting all excited about maybe being a dad again. And even his mom came to town because Lemon, like a genius, decided to bring Grandma Breland back to town so she could knock some sense into her dad. And she, of course, is a nightmare. But, you know, Brick even thought about proposing to Shelby and, you know, making an honest woman out of her. But when he found out that it wasn't his, then I guess he just kind of changed his tune. So now we have Lemon going off to take care of Grandma Breland, and we all know that she's pregnant in real life. Well, actually, she had her baby, and so I guess she'll be off for a few episodes while she takes care of her newborn, which is really sweet, and congrats to her. So yeah, I mean, there was a lot of fun things going on. There's also, you know, because it is Bluebell, and there's nothing but quirkiness that always happens in this town, but we did have some nice touching moments as well. And when everybody came together at the end to celebrate Hanukkah at Levon's place, something else happened. We had a scene when, let me not forget everybody. For all those who are the shipper of Zoe and Wade, which I am a part of that fan club, they did have an interesting scene earlier on in the episode, because while Wade was trying to avoid going to the dentist, he took some of Tansy's anxiety pills, and he took 5 when he really only should have taken 1. And so he was all loopy and he ended up in some hay maze. And of course, Zoe walked in and he walked right up to her and he kissed her, gave her a big old kiss, and was pretty much like, there you go, and walked away. And so I'm sure everybody who ships the two of them were all like smiling ear to ear when they saw that. But the next morning he was like, my bad, I didn't mean to, I'm sorry, I was on medication and I didn't, I didn't mean to do it. And he's like, please don't tell your boyfriend because I really like him. And, so they kind of said, all right, it'll be our little secret because she doesn't want that to get out at all. And, so I feel like Wade, after that moment, feels like he needs to kind of clean up his act. And when Vivian finally apologized to Zoe, she bumped into Wade. And apparently Vivian and Wade went to school back in the day together. And she was surprised that he remembered her. So I guess she was probably like more of a geek than she was chic. And he was, of course, the cool guy. So, she had a little eye banter with him there. And then when they were at Hanukkah dinner, of course, Wade was invited. And she was like, well, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, I live just, I'm their neighbor and I'm just down the street. And he pretty much like decided he was going to take her home. So Zoe sees this. And of course, what is this going to do? Of course, she's going to be jealous. And this is her cousin. And they're just newly bonded again. And I'm sure this is going to cause a lot of drama. And, Zoe has basically thrown her boyfriend in Wade's face this entire season. So it'll be interesting to see now what happens with him and Vivian. Because I'm sure this is going to go down the right path. And will it lead to happily ever after? I guess only time will tell, guys.